morning, and you are brave souls if you finished around 9:30 last night and are here again at 7:30. Janet is a dear friend, and even though she's a dear friend, I don't think I would have said yes to this invitation, except for the fact that it was about Mary. And the Blessed Mother really does, that's my soft spot. And I think I would have gotten up at 6:30 in the morning to come and share some things with you. I love her very, very much, and I owe so much to Mary. So many graces and gifts in our life, if not all of them, actually come from Jesus, but through the hands of Mary. She cares for us. She's the best of mothers. And like St. Alphonsus, I can say that I can't say enough about Mary. I've been consecrated to Jesus for 27 years, and this coming September. And I can't tell you how many times her example has inspired me. How much I've grown to want to be like her. Her love for Jesus. I don't know if you recall that song, but there's a phrase in this song, "Had I but Mary's sinless heart to love you with, my dearest King." She's really the most beautiful woman that has ever existed. Obviously because she was to be the mother of God, and God got to choose her, and he created her. She was physically beautiful, but more importantly, her soul was beautiful. And being a woman, she understands our hearts. So many times I've gone to her with my feelings and emotions and my struggles, and I have found in her a wise guide and an encouraging mother. I remember struggling when I first started out in my consecrated life with all my sensitivity and trying to figure out this whole thing of fraternal life and community and these interpersonal relationships, and finding that I would be so sensitive. And I remember one afternoon I went for a run, and then I was coming back in, and I stopped by the statue of the Blessed Mother, and I just turned to her and I was like, "Mary, I need like tougher skin." I just need tougher skin. Like, I wish I had the fortitude you have. I wish I was strong like you're strong. And like, how did you do it? And in my heart, the response that I received from Mary was, "Oh, Kathleen, I didn't try to be strong. I just tried to love." And in that, came, that's what I received, right? But in that came this whole realization that in Mary's life, it's not that she was trying to make herself strong. It was like she was loving, and then God was permitting all of these different types of circumstances and situations in her life, and he was making her strong. She was finding inner strength, but it was her focus, her heart, was on loving, right? And that's just one example. I have so many examples of moments where I didn't even know what I needed, and I would hear this invitation from our Blessed Mother of, "What are you worried about?" Right? Just drawing me into her heart and being able to share and confide in her. So her warmth, her smile, her protection, her example of interior life, her silence, her humility. She's just like the most beautiful woman that has ever lived, right? And a model for us, absolutely. So I guess I wanted just to start by inviting all of us on this Feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary to open ourselves up to her maternal presence once again in our lives. She is more real to us than the pew that you're sitting in or this podium that I'm leaning against. We can't see her, but she's very real and active in our life. And kind of like you as mothers, there's many moments when your action may be imperceptible to your children or to your grandchildren, and yet it's there. There's this true active presence. That's how she is in our life, and I don't think we'll know this side of heaven how much she has influenced our lives and has walked with us on our journey through life, bringing us closer to Jesus. So you're all dedicating these days to discern your personal charisms and gifts. I think it's so beautiful. And through it to discover your personal mission in the church. And what better example than seeing this lived out in the Blessed Mother? So I wanted to start by giving some context to how mission unfolded in Mary's life and how it also unfolds in ours. And I'm going to start with a quote. I don't know if you know this priest. His name, I think it's Marco Rupnik. I'm pretty sure. He's known for his mosaics, right? He's an artist. He has made beautiful, in the cathedral in Madrid, it's just with this gold and red and just brilliant colors of mosaics. And I think actually in Washington, D.C., I think there's an area of the cathedral, the chapel of the basilica, that he has done. So he's known for that. But he's also known for his gift in discernment. And he's written a book called Discernment, Acquiring the Heart of God. It's beautiful. It's all about relationship. But there's one quote that I want to use that I feel is like kind of the basis and the foundation for this reflection. Spiritually meaningful things never happened in the church because someone decided to do them, but because God found someone available to welcome him in such a radical way that he could manifest himself and carry out his redemption. I want to read it again because it's foundational. Spiritually meaningful things never happened in the church because someone decided to do them, but because God found someone available to welcome him in such a radical way that he could manifest himself and carry out his redemption. Mission always flows from identity. Mission flows out of our love relationship with God. That is what allows us to be taken up into Christ and into his service, into his mission. A couple years ago, now Dara Ryan is here in this beautiful church, and she's actually just arrived to our community. We're so blessed to have her. And she's here primarily to take care of one of our dear sisters who was just diagnosed with ALS, Nicole Bukos, who's in-house in community as well. But she's also here to support in the locality in the women's section. But anyway, this is a memory that goes back to her 40th anniversary of consecration. And it was a few years ago, and we were in Chicago, and I think a day prior or a day after, we had a priest come to the house to celebrate Mass. It wasn't the Mass of her anniversary, but it was another Mass. And in the homily, this priest, he was talking about how there's certain moments in our lives when we start to question, where is my place? Where is my place in the church? Where is my place in this spiritual family? Where is my place in this community? And he said, it's not so much about finding your place as it is about being taken up into Christ's service. God manifests himself and reveals to you how he wants you to carry out his redemption through you. So let's look at Mary. Mary, as a young girl, had a relationship with God. She welcomed God. This available to welcome him in such a radical way. This was Mary from very young. She desired to know him, to please him, to be led by him. And all of the desires of her heart were in harmony with the greatest desire of her heart, which was to glorify her Father. She desired that her life be a song of praise to her God. I know you probably know this song. It's called Be Born in Me. It's one of my favorites, and it's all about Mary. And there's a part that says, the only thing my heart can offer is a vacancy. May Mary didn't fill the vacancy with other things, with other competing desires. She left that space open for God to fill. Her openness and her receptivity to God is what enabled her to receive the message of the angel, which was the first moment where she was discovering her personal mission. And she was able to respond. Her availability to God showed and how readily she was able to change her plans, because that wasn't part of her plan. I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to pivot. It's hard for me to switch gear if I'm going in one direction, even if it's holy and good, and I'm like, I think this is a good thing, that's what I'm doing, and then God switches things around. It's not so easy to have such a ready response of love and consent. But that was Mary. There's another quote by Pope Benedict that I love, and he says, Mary is a holy, not holy H-O-L, although she is, but W-H-O-L-L-Y. Mary is a holy, open human being, one who has opened herself entirely, one who has placed herself in God's hands boldly, limitlessly, and without fear for her own fate. I think Mary's entire life journey can be summed up as a love journey, which led her from giving consent to becoming consent. And if you're interested later, I can share a beautiful poem with you about this. That in the beginning of her early years, in discovering her personal mission of becoming the Mother of God, it was the words, yes, it was her fiat that she was pronouncing. And through those words, life emerged. Right? It was this sweet impact of her consent which allowed God, infinite love, to enter in, not only in her womb, but first in her heart. But through her life and through her journey and through her suffering and through many moments that she just didn't understand the ways of God, she was saying that fiat again and again and again, to the point when she was at the foot of the cross, she wasn't saying yes. She had no words. She was yes. She became consent. That was her personal mission. Making ourselves available to God in our everyday lives, waiting to be filled by Him, seeking to please Him and respond to Him. The fiats of every day take us up into His mission and allows our personal mission to be revealed to us in time, like Mary. So I have a couple of questions for you that perhaps you could just sit with Mary and find courage sitting with Mary to ask these questions to our Lord. Am I nurturing my relationship with the Lord? Or has a week gone by, a month, and I've gotten really busy and God is just simply not on my radar? Or prayer is a little bit dormant right now? Could God be desiring you to turn to Him more as you shift into this summer mode, which also is full of activity, I am sure of it? Another question. Is there something or someone that is filling up the space God desires to hold in my heart? And can I name it? And can I offer it to Him? So that's the first reflection, that our personal mission flows from our love relationship with the Lord and our response to Him. And through that response, we discover little by little how He wants to use all of our gifts, all of our heart, all of our mind, all of those charisms that He has gifted us with to be taken up into His mission. It's so beautiful. It's so profound. It's so not about introspection as it is about discernment and interiorization of who He's made us to be The second idea, and very, very simply, but I think it has been consoling for me, so I just wanted to share it. The mission is always bigger than us. Always. It's bigger than our capacity because it's God's very mission. I'm going to read another quote, and I don't know who is the author of this quote. You know how sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, but you read something, you're like, this is amazing, and then you write it down in your journal, but you don't write who the author is. So, sorry about that. But it states, in the instances we know of, it has not been to great or powerful people that the Spirit has come, but to the little or the frightened, and we have seen them made new, and known that the subsequent flowering of their lives was nothing else but Christ given to them by that sweet impact. It is always a love story, a combination of love between the Spirit of light and the bride of the Spirit. Mary was asked to do something beyond her capacity. But the capacity she did possess was what we talked about a little bit earlier, her interior vacancy. Her heart open to God, which made room and enabled God's creative action to be done in and through and with her. When I began to experience the Lord inviting me to serve in this new mission that I have a couple years back, He's very merciful with me. I don't know about you, but sometimes He gives these like premonitions of, oh, maybe this could be what He could ask. So that's what was happening. And I remember being very frightened and feeling that it was very daunting for me. And I remember even using those words, it feels beyond my capacity. It's beyond my capacity. And then I realized there's two definitions to the word capacity. So one is the amount that something can produce. Like, it's kind of connected to the ability or the power to do or to experience or to know something or to understand something. The other definition is the maximum amount that something can contain. I don't know about you, but like when I discovered that distinction, I was like, oh, okay, this is possible. This is possible because maybe I don't have the capacities, right, the abilities as I would see them needed for this mission, but I certainly can offer God space to act and to work. And the same with Mary. In that same song, Be Born in Me, the phrase before the one I mentioned was, I am not brave, I'll never be. The only thing my heart can offer is a vacancy. I'm just a girl, nothing more, but I am willing, I am yours. So God desires to use our natural gifts. He desires to use our natural talents. He desires to use our spiritual gifts, our charisms, but with the certainty that the mission is His, and He desires to bring us into it, and ultimately through it, to bring us into greater union with Him. It's really, really not about what we do for Him. At the end of the day, it's this transformation into Him that He so desires and longs, and it's through participating with Him that we grow in union with Him. So may each of us, as we discern how He's called us to serve, have this heart of Mary, this immaculate heart of Mary, a loving receptivity and availability, and a willingness and a readiness to follow Him